To make a long story short, Hitler was angry at God and at society because of his plight. Because of his anger, he rebelled against God and society. He didn't just deny God, he got angry at the establishment around him. In his quest to change his plight, he turned to the occult. I don't know about here because I haven't checked, but when we were back east, I went to the Barnes & Noble, which had a Starbucks coffee shop in it, and I was drinking my coffee, and I noticed the place was swarming with kids. So I wanted to see what they would be interested in Barnes & Nobles. And I walked up there, and in Massachusetts, there was a wall, the entire length of one part of Barnes & Nobles, and the title of it was Occult and Paranormal. And it was this whole Harry Potter thing, but it was the entire wall that had to do with the occult and witchcraft and paranormal power and all that stuff. And that was where the kids were swarming. And they were all sitting around reading those books. And things haven't changed because that's exactly where Hitler went. And he went into the occult, and he began spending his free time in the Hofburg Library in Vienna, reading books on the history of the occult and Eastern religions. And the occult seemed to offer him the power he was looking for. Now, while he was hanging out in the library doing this, he started listening to the lectures that were given at this Hofburg Library, because I don't know if you realize this, but still in that library is this spear that supposedly was the spear that pierced the side of Jesus Christ, and it's a relic. And every emperor of Europe for 1,000 years had that spear when they conquered and came to power. And so it was on display, and the guide would say that spear, it's called the Spear of Destiny, was shrouded with mystery, and whoever unlocked the secrets of that spear would rule the world. And Hitler stood there, and as he read his books, he heard the tour guide giving this lecture all the time, because they would always stop in the library and point up to their big exhibit. And he began thinking about that and started studying the occultic connection of that spear in that library. And by the way, Dr. Walter Stein, the librarian that gave the tour, later on in the Nuremberg trials, remember when they were going through all the Nazi punishment that was meted out for all the deadly things they did, he testified, and we have on record his testimony of Hitler's beginnings. This is what Dr. Stein said. He said, Adolf Hitler, he was the librarian, and he noticed this young student who would stand looking up at that spear. And this is what Stein said. Adolf Hitler would stand like a man in a trance, a man over whom some dreadful magic spell had been cast. He would sway on his feet as though caught up in some totally inexplicable euphoria. His whole facial appearance and stance were transformed as if a mighty spirit inhabited his soul, creating within and around him a kind of evil transformation of its own nature and power. That's what Stein said happened to him. So what Hitler did is he left Hofburg Library and went back and met, as you know from history, Eckhart and all the other founders of the Nazi Party, who all were initiates into satanic rituals, and they said that in a seance he was the man Satan had picked to be the Messiah. And he believed it. By the way, do you know what the first thing Hitler did after he conquered Austria, at the Anschluss? Do you know the first thing he did in Austria? He went to the Vienna Library and took that spear and took it back to his headquarters and had it throughout all of World War II and thought he was going to conquer the world with it. Well, Hitler opened his life to Satan. Look what it says in Ephesians 4:27. It says, do not give place to the devil. Rebellion, the occult, all of that paranormal power opens up our lives to the influence of the devil. And if you're not born again, to the indwelling and the total control of the evil one. And that's what Hitler did. Hitler opened his life because everywhere and always demons have lurked in the dark for the moment when a person will become weak, when a person will drop the guards in their life and open their life to their influence. And after the first voluntary downward step, a person is compelled with the second and third and rapidly increasing speed to give in to the power of demons, which we see with those who get enmeshed in this. And once they're exposed, they're unable to resist the power. Well, Basically, the demons that controlled the demented soul of Adolf Hitler lured him to prepare Germany over those 6 years of industrialization to get ready for war. And then starting in 1939, those demons lured Hitler to take his nation into World War II. And then those demons abandoned him and his country to their fate. And Hitler and his fellow conspirators almost succeeded. There's just a few things they did wrong or they would have won. But what's amazing is that the whole Nazi era was just a dress rehearsal, because Hitler ended up killing himself. Remember, he committed suicide and had them dump gas on him and burn his body because he didn't want, them to be able to do anything to him. But it was only a dress rehearsal, those 6 years, for what the final dark era of earth will be like. One man, totally encompassed by the devil, can do so much.